Hello everybody and welcome to a second Unreal tutorial, and today we're going to go over how to have some sort of damage HUD. So while you're taking damage, there will be some sort of HUD to let you know that you're taking more and more damage. That isn't like a progress bar. It is kind of like one in that it shows you, when you're healing and when you're taking damage, but it is more of a full screen aspect than just a regular progress bar. I am currently working on a game, and for a boss battle, we are toying with the idea, because it's very, it's like Nordic mythology. So we were toying with the idea of, you play against this boss, you get more frozen and frozen, and so I came up with the idea that, the player would visibly become more frozen as they took damage. And so today I am going to show you how to create that HUD and how to get it to correctly work in your game. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to create the HUD that we want to get stronger and stronger as we create damage. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import the image that I want. I have it right on my desktop right now. It's I believe it is this one. It's so it's frozen, so it's all snow, and then also has a transparent background, so you can't really see anything. But I can tell from the timestamp that that's the image we want. I'm also going to rename this just so that it's a bit easier to find. Just going to say frozen screen. You'll be able to see what it looks like when we actually do put it into a widget. But I found this image of this effect that I'm going to show you can basically work with just about any image as long as it has a transparent background, because if you have something that's opaque, you're not going to be able to see what's happening through the game, because you can see here it's transparent by the gray and white squares in the background. And so this is just basically the image I chose. I just typed transparent snow border into Google Images, and yeah, there's a ton here to choose from, but you want to avoid things like these that have an opaque, like that opaque white background, because then if you try to stretch the HUD over the screen, you won't be able to see the game at all. You'll just see a basically just that image. And so the transparency allows us to see through it. So that was way too long of an explanation, but we're going to go to our user interface, and we are going to make a widget blueprint, and we are going to call this frozen HUD. If I could keep consistent with the all caps there, and then we're going to open it. And once it loads, you can see that there is nothing there at all, just a completely blank screen. So we want to change that. We want to get that image in. So I'm going to drag this in, and we're going to stretch it out so that it fits the entirety of the screen. I really should have just plugged values in. This is taking quite a bit. Alright, there we go. So now that we have the full screen, we can go to Appearance, and then I believe it's Brush. Yes, in Brush we will find Image. From Image we can find what we called, frozen screen. So now you can see that's a nice white border for this screen that we couldn't see earlier, but that is what we want it to look like when we are at our full damage, when we are lowest on our health, when we are completely frozen. That's going to be the end result. So after we have that image in there, we're just going to anchor it to the full screen so that it'll always stay anchored to the screen. And then we're going to get into the blueprints. We're going to compile and save. And we are actually not going to start in this HUD's blueprint. We are going to start in our character blueprint. So I'm just going to minimize this and find our character in our outliner. I believe it's towards the end. Yep. Okay, first person character. We're going to edit the blueprint. So we already should already see a bunch of things going on. If I could find our event begin play, because you can only have, we need to start it on an event begin play, but there can only be one, and there's one somewhere in here. So I'm just gonna type event begin play, and it should take me to where it is. Okay, here we go. So we are going to break this off, do what we need to do in blueprints, and then reconnect it to the branch so that everything's still included, but we need to build off of this event begin play. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a widget, and we are creating the widget for the HUD we just made. So I'm going to scooch this up real quick. See, it's still trying to connect to that branch over there. So we're going to select our class, and we can find the frozen HUD that we made a few seconds ago. And we are going to promote this to a variable. No. What? Promote variable. Am I doing something wrong? Here we go. Okay, I was I was dragging off in the wrong section, so we are going to have a setter after we've promoted this to a variable, and we are going to rename because new variable 0 is kind of vague, so we are going to name it, let's say, frozen. Frozen effect. Here we go. And from there, we want to add this to our viewport. So add viewport. There we go. And then we are going. I'm surprised this actually is still connected. So I guess we're just going to have to, make this go to set. And then take this and reconnect it to the branch that we broke off in the beginning so that we still have, good? Okay, yeah, so we still have all the rest of the things that are there. We just now have this, we are now adding just the HUD to the viewport. So this simply, we could compile and save that. Oh, okay, forgot to do this. Okay. There we go. Okay. So now, if I minimize this and we play the game, we should be able to see that our first-person character now has that HUD all lined up all around them, and that if we, move around, it'll stay stagnant. It's just kind of an issue of right now. It is at its complete opacity, and we don't want that. We want that to be something that it builds up to. We want it to start off and it's completely invisible. So, going to escape out of this, and we're going back to where we just were. So I'm going to open up that minimized, and we are going to go above here, and we are going to create some new variables. And so we're going to be creating these new variables for our health. We're going to create 2 of them. We are going to have one for our maximum health. Did I spell that right? Yep. We're going to set that. And we are going to also create a variable for current health. So the health we have currently, and the health that is as much as we can go. So we are going to we want to make sure that it is not a Boolean. We want to be able to add and subtract these things as, we determine current health. So we are going to make these things floats. I'm not quite sure why they defaulted to Boolean. And then we are going to want to default values, but before we do that, we need to compile. And everything should work fine. And so we have our maximum health. Let's call it 100. And for the time being, we're also going to set current health to 100 because when we want to start our game, we want to have the maximum health. So now that we have our maximum health and current health, we're going to want to create an event dispatcher so that the first person character as well as the frozen HUD will be able to interact and change. So we need a dispatcher for that to connect these two things, and we're just going to call it update health because it'll be taking these changes in health and using that to change the opacity on the screen. So we are then going to, let me think for a minute. We have just added our dispatcher, which will be able to have everything do that. Oh yes, we need to make an input for our new update health. We need to have it so that it is taking in some sort of parameter that it can change. So once again, we're going to want to make it a float so that it can, be changed by the powers of addition and subtraction, and we're just going to call it health. And yeah, so we are going to, from this point, still in the first person character event graph, we're going to make it so that these can be changed and how they will be changed. And so for the purpose of just showing you the functionality and the changing in opacity, I'm just going to be setting these current health as something that can be changed by like a key change. Clearly, if you had a game running and you wanted to, have it take damage, you could have like, an on collision, that would work. But because I really don't have anything except a completely new level, we're just going to be having it so that, yeah. So I'm going to have the Z key be what adds health. So when Z key is pressed, I want it to set current health. So I'm going to call that, and we can see here in variables, we can set our current health. We're going to drag off of our current health and just have it get current health, which will allow us to get the variable. Here we go. And so from here, we're going to drag off because we want, I said Z was going to add health. So we are going to be doing a float plus float. So let's just say every time we press the Z key, I think I said 100 as the threshold for maximum health, so we're going to say 5. So that every time we hit the Z key, we add 5 to our current health. And so we are going to be returning that to current health. Nope, just return. Okay. That is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to hold on. There we go. Okay, so we have current health. No. If I could just move it. There we go. Okay, make it a bit more organized. So as you can see here, we have a getter for current health. It is being added to every time we click Z, and so that is being set to our new current health. Our current health plus 5. And so we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to want to subtract health. So whatever makes that opacity of the image stronger, and we're going to have like the C key do that. So when we press that, it's very much the same thing, except when you modify it, you want to subtract, other than add, clearly. So we are going to set current health, same as we just did. Let's see if I can do it a bit cleaner this time. Drag this up. Place a node over here to get the variable. And then have this drag off. And have float and minus float. This is really the only difference between the two. Set that to 5 again. If I could, like I said before, just clean this up. Then great. Yeah, so this time we're going to be subtracting 5. And we are going to be returning that to set current health instead of just the immediate getting from current health. So now that we have these, we have something that will add 5 away from health, and we'll have something that takes away 5 from health. And so from these setters, we're going to make 2 separate calls to update health, which was that event dispatcher that we had. So call update health. There it is. And then we are going to, that's odd. It should have, it says new parameter. It should have parameter health. Let me see if I did something wrong here. My computer does not like Unreal. If you can tell by being extremely slow. Alright, maybe it's kind of odd because we had these things. We gave it the variable health. I had this problem earlier. I know how to fix it if it does in fact give us an error. So I'm just kind of confused as to why it would be doing that. Who knows? So we are going to do that. We're going to set attach these things to our set current health, and then from there we are going to start to, I'm just going to save this real quick. It might give me an error when I compile. Probably will. Yeah, it's giving me the same thing. It wants a delegate signature. I'm not quite sure what that means. If I do this frozen HUD and we still have that error, I know how to go back and fix it. So for right now, I'm just going to worry about our frozen HUD. So we need to go to our graph. And we are going to go to event construct. And from our event construct, we are going to cast to our first person. Oh my gosh, there's so many. First person character, okay. My eyes are so bad. So cast to our first person character. And we are going to have our object in as just get the getter for our player character. So get player character. It's going to be what we have for an object. We can just clean that up a little bit. There we go. And then, so moving on, we are going to assign update health, which is our dispatcher that we made, and we're going to be doing that from as first person character. So we have as first person character, and assign update health, which will allow these. And as you can see, it makes a bind event, and it also makes a custom event. So this is kind of a weird name. So I'm just gonna say frozen. Or no, frozen effect modify. Sure, that seems. I don't know if that's descriptive enough. And so something before I start messing with these things, I just want to go back to the designer instead of the graph, because right now it's set like when we had our when I played the game and I showed you how it showed up, it was completely there at full health, and we don't want that. So we want it to start at to the point where we can't see it, and then as we press those keys, it will change. So if I could find, here it is. It's in color and opacity, and we see all the values here. We see values for our red, our green, our blue, and then A is what controls opacity. So we're going to want to take our A and we're going to want to slide that down as we start to see the image fade away. And there we go. It's completely gone, and we can save it because that's how we want to have it start. We want to have it start where we cannot see it at all. So, whoop, nope, we want to go back to our graph. And we are going to drag in our image now that we have it to the point where we want it. And so we are going to get the image. And then from getting the image, we are going to want to set color and opacity so that we can change it. So yes. Here we go. So then from in, color and opacity, we are going to make a linear color. And so this will give us all the values that we saw before. We have our R, our G, our B, and our opacity. And so our opacity is what we care about the most. So R can be completely visible. We can set everything to 1 as far as the green and the blue. It is just the A that we will be modifying by using the different healths and all that. So we have our as first person character. We're going to drag that down here, new node off of that, and we are going to get our maximum health. Whoa. Maximum health, here we go. So we are going to get that maximum health, and then our health we can get off of here from our frozen effect modify event. We can drag this so that we can get the health off of that. And so we are going to want to use these two variables to change each other. So we are going to do this by setting them up in a float divided by float kind of thing, so that we can put our maximum health below our current health. So we're going to do this. And we are dividing this by our maximum health. And so you would think that it would be fine to then take this value that is getting outputted by these two variables being divided into our opacity, but that's not what we want, because it actually will have the opposite effect we want. It will have like a stronger, it will be more opaque than not. So in order to fix this, we just need to make another little float minus float. Actually, you know what? No, I'm just gonna right click here because it'll want to kind of do it on its own and bind it to the way it wants. If I could right click on a Mac, here we go. So we have a float minus float. Yeah, so what we want to do is we want to input this value as the bottom value that is being subtracted from 1. So we have here, and then we are going to use that value to return to here. And then we should all be good. So I'm going to go ahead and compile. Good to go. We're going to save. And so I'm going to go ahead and check back on that if we need a new one for this, because it still seems to think that there's no health parameter. So the way I fixed this before, because it keeps calling for this delegate signature, and what I realized is when I took it out and tried to put it back in, there was a new, see, this was here, which wasn't here when I originally put them in, and so now we have the parameter health. So now it should work. I'm not entirely sure why it does that, but it has happened twice so far. So it just, and I think like I saw before, I tried to replace it and it wasn't having it. So once you kind of have your everything set up in your other HUD, I guess it starts to work. I'm not sure, but now we compile, everything should be fine. So as you can see, I'm going to compile, I'm going to save, and then that should be everything. So I'm going to go back to the game, I'm going to play it. And as we can see, we can no longer, we don't have that opaque border around here anymore. But as I begin to press the keys that, hello, what did I have in this? CNC, right? Huh. CNC, let me just double check. Make sure that that is what I did the math. That should be, I'm starting to think I might know what the issue is here. I'm gonna open up the HUDs again. Could it be because I didn't connect these? Is that what you guys need? Or, oh, okay. I might, I might have needed to connect these. I feel like that would have been a real help. So let's try this again. What? Yeah, so as we can see, that was just a little, but as we now press, I think there was a little glitch right there that showed the whole thing, but as we press RC, it begins to show up, and as we press RZ and affect our help, it begins to fade. So sorry about that slip up. Yeah, you definitely need to connect those two or else they don't work. But yeah, so that's the tutorial. That's how everything works. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.